finally I put together a demo on how to tan salmon skin. This is store-bought salmon skin, and this method I've used ammonia as a curing agent, and this is what I've come up with. They're pretty pliable. I could continue to work this and make it really much more pliable if I wanted to, but this is what they turned out to be. Almost like a kind of a really thin leather, suede. And here's some of my previous attempts, and you'll get different consistencies. The first one here is like a really kind of like a parchment, and this is with hardly working it at all, but it doesn't have a fish smell or anything like that, and you know, this could be used for various projects if you wanted to, and this is without working it. And then I've had some successes where this is about the same consistency and texture as these. Very soft on the inside, you know, that comes from sanding and working it. And then this is a piece that's really, really very cottony and very light and fluffy. And this one, I think it was just very thin skin. And so my experimentation with this method, or at least the process I use, probably has to do with the amount of oil or tallow that you work through the skin with. So for these two here, I just used maybe about a half a teaspoon on each side, maybe a whole teaspoon on each side. I could have done it more, a tablespoon, and really worked through it, and probably got more of a really soft, fine consistency as this. But for the most part, this texture works pretty well and seems to be okay. And again, if you don't want to go for something soft like that, you can always just go ahead and tan it. You know, run it through your solution, rub a little oil through it, and then just let it dry flat, and you'll get a nice translucent piece like this. So I'm gonna march through the steps to do this, and it's something you can do in your kitchen. It's not too much of an ick factor. You could use urine, which turns into ammonia. I decided to use household ammonia because I'm doing this in the kitchen, but I have used urine in the past, and it works just fine. The thing is that when you use urine, you have to let it sit in the urine for about a week, maybe 2 weeks. Whereas ammonia, you just need a few days, up to 4 days, maybe 5 days. Otherwise, the ammonia, household ammonia, will dissolve your skins. Kind of suck at this. But went to the store. And get salmon. The big one. Alright. That's the big one. Right there. And all I want is really the skin. It's a little bit of work, but the idea is to separate the meat, plenty of meat here, from the skin. This is beautiful skin here. This long one. Beautiful. Look at that. Awesome. So just kind of get rid of the meat from it, because we're gonna eat it. That's what I'm gonna do, at least. Alrighty, so these are some salmon skins that have been soaking in ammonia. And as you can, if you look closely, you can see how the ammonia is taking a lot of the oils out. But it's been about a week, about 4 days, and I want to take this out quickly because ammonia will dissolve this and make these no good. It'll make the skins no good. If you're using urine will turn into ammonia, and so therefore you can keep it in a solution of urine for a little bit longer, maybe a week, 2 weeks at the most. But generally 1 week with urine is best, that I've been finding out. But if you don't want to mess with urine, ammonia should be a good substitute, and that's all you're really doing is you're using your urine that turns into ammonia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse this out to kind of stop the process. Alright, I've removed the salmon skins from the ammonia, and I just kind of rinsed them out a little bit, and then what I'll be doing is laying these out and scraping off any of the fat and flesh that's left on the skin. So we're gonna try to tan these salmon skins, and I had these in ammonia, store-bought ammonia, for about 4 to 5 days, no more than that. What happens is the ammonia tends to dissolve. This will completely turn into mush in about 2 weeks with just ammonia, in my experience. So I rinsed them off and I just had them in the refrigerator because I was busy with other stuff. So again, that's, again, if this is a pure experiment, this kind of taints the experiment. It's just going straight from ammonia to rinsing off, scraping, and tanning. So just know that, or take note that I had this in the refrigerator for about 24 hours after rinsing the ammonia off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse them again, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scrape off the flesh from the flesh side, and then we're going to go through the process of trying to tan these out. So right now I'm just thoroughly rinsing them. Just kind of clean them off. I can also get rid of some of the scales on this side as well that are hanging on. Kind of get a feel for the texture of the skin. The skin is somewhat rubbery at this stage. Not something I'd want to eat at this stage. I don't know. That's for sure. Doesn't feel like that. It feels like rubber. And again, I've got rinsing this in cold water. After ammonia bath of about 4 to 5 days. So I'm going to take one out. And there's a few areas that I want to be mindful of. There's this hole here and this hole here. We may have some rips, and that's okay. But you can take your cutting tool. I think I have a chert flake here with a somewhat sharp edge. and I have a spoon. And so really what I want to do is I just want to go ahead and kind of get rid of this flesh that's still stuck. I should probably go against the grain. Just like so. I'll pull this off. Okay. Now I'm just showing how to do this kind of primitively with a stone tool. I believe the Inuit people use a hoko knife to both skin or deflesh seal hides and other types of wild animals, animal hides. And this kind of represents this. Or I could use a spoon to do the same thing. And it doesn't have as much of an aggressive edge as the stone tool does, because chert and stone with a lot of silica in it can have very, very, very sharp edges. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of discard that. And what I do is I have a cloth underneath my plastic cutting board so it doesn't slip. I don't want to cut myself. There it is, pretty much. And this is what we have kind of laid out after using stone tool to scrape all the flesh off and fat. And then I'm going to rinse this off again, and this will be the hide that we're going to work with, or the skin. Using cold water, go ahead and rinse this off.